Okay, so when I say the word Lotus, what comes to mind? Probably a small, lightweight, track-focused sports car, right? So you can imagine the shockwaves when the brand pulled the cover off this, the Eletre. It's a massive, all-electric, luxury SUV. So yeah, let's dive into what might be one of the most surprising and honestly controversial cars of the decade.
And that's the question, isn't it? It's what every car person has been asking. The entire Lotus brand was built on this mantra of simplify and add lightness. So how can a 2.5-ton, 5-door family hauler possibly have the same soul? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the pure shock of this thing even existing. Then, we'll look at the business strategy behind it all. After that, we'll see if that legendary performance DNA is still in there and check out all the new tech and luxury. And this is important. We're also going to do a serious reality check on its flaws before we try to answer the biggest question, who is this car actually for?
Right. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and address the elephant in the room. Just how big of a departure is this for a brand like Lotus?
I mean, just look at this comparison. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the classic Lotus, a car like the Elise, tiny, pure, minimalist. And on the other side, the Eletre. It's over 200 inches long, that's longer than a Range Rover, and it weighs almost 5,500 pounds. This isn't just a new car for them, it's a complete reimagining of what the Lotus badge can even mean.
So why on earth would a company with such a razor-sharp identity make such a radical pivot? Well, to put it simply, it really comes down to one word: survival.
And you know what? We've seen this movie before. Think back to the early 2000s. People absolutely lost their minds when Porsche, the maker of the 911, launched the Cayenne SUV. But guess what? The Cayenne was a massive hit, and it made the company boatloads of cash. Cash they used to keep building the sports cars we all love. Lotus is betting that the Eletre can be their Cayenne for the electric age.
And this pivot was only possible because of a serious injection of cash. See, in 2017, the Chinese auto giant Geely bought a majority stake. And they didn't just write a small check. They invested over $1 billion into a brand new cutting-edge factory in Wuhan. We're talking about a facility that can churn out 150,000 cars a year. This isn't a little British shed-building sports car anymore. This is a global operation.
Okay, but all the money and business strategy in the world don't mean a thing if the car doesn't feel right. So we get to the absolute heart of the matter. Can this heavyweight contender actually deliver that legendary, nimble driving feel that Lotus is famous for?
Well, on paper, the numbers are frankly mind-bending. Even the base model has over 600 horsepower and gets to 62 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. And the top dog 900 model, we're talking 905 horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of under 3 seconds. That is supercar territory. So it's insanely fast in a straight line, no doubt. But what about the corners?
And this is where the magic happens. According to the folks who've actually driven it, the engineers have somehow, against all odds, pulled it off. Despite all that weight, they rave about how sharp and precise the steering is, how agile it feels. It seems like that Lotus DNA, that special sauce, has actually survived the journey into this massive new body.
But here's the thing. The Eletre has to be more than just a really fast SUV. To play in this league, against these competitors, it also has to be a top-tier luxury car that's packed with tech and is actually, practical. So let's see how it does there. Okay, one of its biggest tech flexes is its advanced LiDAR system. Now, what is that? Well, the simple way to think about it is like a super advanced radar, but it uses lasers to paint a crazy detailed 3D map of everything around the car. It's the key piece of the puzzle for true self-driving in the future.
And what's so cool is how Lotus did it. The Eletre is actually the world's first production car with deployable LiDAR. So to keep the car looking super sleek, all the sensors hide under these little hatches, but when you activate the system, they pop up from the roof and the fenders. It is pure science fiction, and it looks incredible.
And then you get inside, and wow, it's a completely different universe from the stripped-out, bare-bones Lotus cabins of the past. We're talking beautiful materials like Napa leather, a giant OLED screen in the middle, and actual, real space for adults in the back. Plus, you get these thoughtful, practical touches like a big trunk and air suspension that can lower the whole car down to make it easier to load stuff. It's a focus on daily life that's totally new for Lotus.
So far, it sounds pretty amazing, right? But let's be humble here. No car is perfect, especially not one that's trying to do so many new things at once. So to really understand if this is a car you can trust day in and day out,
we have to talk about the compromises.
When you look at what the experts are saying, a really clear picture starts to form. The pros? They're exactly what you'd hope for. That stunning design, it's an absolute blast to drive, and the interior is fantastic. But the cons? Well, they show you where the trade-offs are. All that size and weight means it's not very efficient, and it can be a real beast in tight parking lots. And the price for that sharp handling is a ride that can be a bit firm, with some driver aids that can feel a little too eager to step in.
And this right here, this might be the Eletre's biggest real-world headache: efficiency. In one test, the official advertised range of 329 miles plummeted to just 247 miles out on the actual road. That's a huge difference, and it's something any potential owner absolutely needs to know before planning a long road trip.
So, after weighing all of this, the good, the bad, the absolutely brilliant, we come back to our big questions. Who is the person this car is really for? And maybe more importantly, is this a car you can actually trust?
Well, what this all tells us is that the Eletre customer is a very specific person. There's someone who craves that sports car thrill but needs the space and practicality of an SUV. They're an early adopter who gets excited by tech like deployable LiDAR. There's someone who values head-turning, dramatic design more than they value ultimate efficiency. They need a car they can use every day with room for people, and they're prepared to accept the high price tag and the known compromises to own something that's truly different.
And that really brings us to our final thought. The Lotus Eletre is so much more than just a new car. It's a bold, it's a risky, and it's a fascinating glimpse into the future. It really makes you wonder, is this the new blueprint? Is blending that historic performance feel with high-tech, high-volume, electric utility the only way for these legendary brands to survive and maybe even thrive in a world that's rapidly changing? Honestly, only time will tell. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.